Dang, it was so hard to pick. So hard. I read 143 books this year. I'm gonna go over my top 10 picks. When I say this was so hard to do, I'm surprised that I was able to get it down to 10. Honestly, I was gonna do 24, but I was like, let's keep it short and cute. Let's do a top 10 and that's it. If you haven't, I posted a video the other day mentioning all the 140 books that I read with a yes, no, or maybe if I recommend you read it, so go check that out if you haven't already. Before we get into this video, make sure you are subscribed if you haven't already and join the team if you love bookish content like this. I'm not gonna do this in any particular order because that's gonna be even harder for me to do. Like I can't wrap my head around which is my top 1, 2, 3, 4. Like I can't do it. I'm sorry. I'm gonna go over whatever is in front of me right now. Starting off strong, this is the Mind F series by St. Addie. I didn't know that I was gonna fall in love with this book as much as I did. We are following a girl who is on a hunt to get revenge on these men who did her dirty, and she is unaliving them. She's unaliving them. And then there's a detective who is on the hunt to find whoever is doing these unaliving events, and then they start dating. How are you dating the guy who is hunting you down to put you away for life? This book, oh my gosh. Now, if you didn't know, this is 5 books in one, so they're short little novellas. And honestly, I ran through this. I think I read it in one day. Yeah, one day. If you are a fan of Dexter, I didn't watch Dexter until after reading this because I was like, wow, this was so good. Let me go see how Dexter's is. What? Exactly. It's so crazy how much alike they are. But this book, if they could make a movie or a show of girl version of Dexter, I'll be number 1 to watch it. It was perfect. It's the perfect amount of like thriller, suspense, romance, spice, everything nice, and she is getting down. She is getting down and dirty, and I loved it so much. I don't know why it took me a long time to get it, but I got my hands on it. Next, we have Corrupt by Penelope Douglas. When I say I fell in love with this book, I'm counting the whole series as one, but we're gonna go over this one because this is the one that made me fall in love with the Devil's Night series. I don't know what it was. It just grabbed my attention from the beginning. Following Michael and Rika. She is super chill. She just moved into a nice apartment, and Michael owns this apartment complex, and him and his friends, who his friends are in jail, by the way, they're about to come out because they are trying to get revenge on the girl that they think put them in there in the first place, and that's Rika. She dates Michael's brother, and they always had like this connection, even though they couldn't really act on it because that's my boyfriend's brother. That's my little brother's girlfriend. This book right here. Let me just tell you, I don't want to give any spoilers. There's one scene in this book where it gets so hot and steamy in the sauna. If you know, comment down below a sauna emoji because this one was spicy. And then each book gets better and better and better. There's 4 books in total, so if you haven't started this series, start with Corrupt. So you have to read them in order. Definitely read them in order. Corrupt, and then so Ika and Michael's. I'm just looking back on it, like thinking, oh my gosh, I love this book so much. The Invisible Life of Addie LaRue by V.E. Schwabs. When I say the way I felt after reading this book, I was so invested. This book was actually gifted to me by one of my book besties on TikTok, and when I seen this in the mail, I gasped. I literally cried because I was like, oh my gosh, I wasn't even finished reading the book and she sent it to me. Borrowed it from my local library, and while I was reading it, I just was posting videos like, oh my god, this book is amazing. Oh my god, this book is amazing. Oh my god, this book is amazing. It's so freaking good. In this book, we are following Addie, and she makes a deal with someone that changes the course of her life forever. And the events that happened during her lifetime is like so crazy because I don't know if I could go through what she did. Like, she went through a lot, and later on in life, she ends up bumping into this dude, and they have like this connection, and it's like, what is going on here? I thought you were invisible, girl. Like, what the heck? How can he see you? Oh my gosh. You have to read this book. It would change you forever. And honestly, now looking back at it, I don't think I would have read this book if I knew what it was about. I went into it completely blind, and I'm glad I did, because if I knew a little bit about it, I probably would have turned away from it, if that makes any sense. I don't want to give too much into it, but let's just say it's a little bit demonic, if I should say. Now that I'm on like a journey to be closer to God, I don't think I would have read this book, to be honest, but I absolutely loved it. If you haven't read this book, go read it now. It's so good. That's Not My Name by Megan Lally. I cannot not think about this book without crying. Oh my gosh. This is a YA thriller. I didn't think that I was going to be so emotional with reading this book, but I got very emotional. In this book, we are following a young girl who wakes up in the middle of nowhere, and she doesn't remember how she got there, who she is. She can't remember literally nada. A sheriff comes along and he helps her try to figure out who she is. And then a guy just shows up in the sheriff's department like, oh my God, this is my daughter. She's like, okay, I gotta go with my dad. Then another part of the book, we are following this young boy whose girlfriend is missing, and everyone in town thinks that he has unalived her, but he's trying to prove his innocence. And when I say this book, like, it got me. Like, the twist in this, it got me to the core. Like, I felt that in my gut. I just knew. I didn't know, actually. I didn't know nothing. I just had a feeling it was gonna end differently. And the way that it ended, I was just like, what the F? What the F? If you read this book, let me know in the comment section below. Were you blown? Were you shocked at the end? If not, if you haven't read this book, go read it. It is a YA thriller, but it reads as like an adult thriller. It's not super gory, which I like YA thrillers because of that. Sometimes you don't need all that gore. You just need that suspense, and that's good enough. But this was good. This one changed my thought process of YA thrillers for sure. The One by John Mars. This book, you can tell that I love this book. This is the only book that I annotated this whole year, and when I say I went in, I went in. I read this on a trip with my husband a couple months ago. I think for our anniversary, we went away, and I was in the hotel room just going crazy. I was like, this is so crazy. If you love Black Mirror on Netflix, John Mars gives you that vibes in books. In this book, we are following 5 people who has taken a DNA test to find their perfect match. And I know I couldn't do that. I'll be so scared because I'm with my husband. And if I take this DNA match and I find out I'm actually matched with someone else, I don't know what I would do. Do I leave my husband? Do I stay with my husband? Do I go with the next person? Like, it is a lot. And the people in this book, they make some decisions that I'm like, what is wrong with you? This book was so good. It makes me want to read more of John Mars books because this writing was so easy to get lost in the world. And I'm like, I loved it. I love this book. I love this book so much. So if you haven't read this, go read it like ASAP. The Night Andale by Kristen Hanna. I'm speechless. This book had me in a choke hole. I don't read historical fictions, and this is what that's about. We are following 2 sisters during World War II, and they're on total opposite sides. Not total opposite sides of the war. They're on the same sides, but you're following 2 point of views of what they're doing in this war, and it gets emotional. I'm not gonna lie. Like, the beginning of the book, I was just like, okay, like, I could get through this. When it hit that half mark and the rest, it was just gut-wrenching, sad, crying. I made a reaction video on TikTok as well of me going through my journey of reading this book. It was just out of control. I could not keep my emotions to myself. I was crying on my couch, and my husband was like, what are you reading? I was like, this book is doing something to me. If you haven't read this book, go read it. It's pretty thick, but honestly, you're gonna skim through this so fast because it just grabs your attention from the beginning and you just get lost in it. And like I said, I'm not a historical fiction girl, but the story makes it feel like it was happening now, if that makes any sense. Like it was just so good. I can't wait to read more of her as well. Christine Hanna, she did a good job, girl. You did your thing in this book. You did your thing. These next 4 books I read on my Kindle, so I'll put the picture right here. First one is Monday's Not Coming by Tiffany D. Jackson. This book was an automatic 6 stars from the beginning, like from page 1. This book, we are following a young girl. She is in middle school and she goes to school the first day and cannot find her best friend, her ride or die best friend. And she's like, this is a little fishy because my girl, she never missed a day of school. What is happening? She tells her teachers, like, have you seen her? She goes and tell her mom, have you like heard anything? Did they move? And she takes it even further to go to her best friend's mother's house and be like, where is she? And the mom's like, mind your business. Like, she's not here. She moved away. This book crushed my soul. When I say I haven't cried so much, I thought that last book, Christine Hanna, The Night Andale, I cried. This book, Monday's Not Coming, I cried for, I think I read this like in the middle of the night. Probably was like 2 a.m. I could not stop. In this book, definitely check your trigger warnings because check your trigger warnings. I'm just saying that right now. Just check it just in case. This is also a YA book and it doesn't read YA at all. I felt like, yes, I was reading a young girl story, but it was told in such a like mature, vivid, like this was a roller coaster. This was so good. If you haven't read this, go read it. If you read this, comment down below. Monday. Girl, this was so sad. Another book on my top 10 is Somebody's Wife by Robbie Renee. This book was so good. It was so juicy. It was drama. We are following this woman who she is not so great of a marriage and her husband is honestly so trash. She is working for the university and she has to do an interview with a new professor that they want to bring on. And this man, Mr. Dr. Green, he's so, I swear, like reading the description of this man, he sounds so fine. If I see him in real life, I'm just gonna be like, oh, wow. They have a connection that they could not deny from the beginning. And when I say this book, this book was so good. I need my physical copy, but I am hunting down this cover because even though this cover is beautiful, don't get me wrong, I really love this cover for some reason. It gives more like mysterious, kind of sexy, where this one gives more like powerful woman. Don't get me wrong, I love that for sure, but I don't know, something mysteriously, I love this cover. I'm probably gonna get this one for sure, but I want every cover that this book comes in, because when I say this was one of my, if I had to pick, this is definitely like top 5 for sure, because just say, if you need to read this book ASAP. All these books, make this one be the one that you read. And I actually found this from a mutual friend on TikTok. She knew what she was talking about. The next one that I read, and this book right here, Keep It to Myself by Brianna Dene. I love this book. This was so good. And I'm counting these 2 books as one because they were so good. I ran through it like that. In this book, we are following a young black man. Yes, a young black man who he goes through some struggles as a young boy, and he is placed in the foster care system, and he ends up bumping into this girl and saving her from getting basically sexually assaulted by this guy. You would think that he was gonna, the way I was reading it, I thought he was gonna be, into her and stuff. But no, they really were just friends. It's her sister. Her sister is the one that they kind of bump heads. And I'm like, oh yeah, something's gonna happen between them. This book is such like an amazing book. It has like, it's funny, moment, and the way the relationship and the drama in this, so good. And then part 2 picks up from the end. So if you do read book 1, it does leave off on a little of a cliffhanger, and then you go into book 2 and you just like, it just opens another can of worms and more drama. This was crazy. So I'm counting them as one, but technically, you know. And last, but it's not the bottom. It's just the last book I recently read, and it made it onto this list. This is Megan Quinn's How My Neighbor Stole Christmas. I need this to become a movie. We need to see this in the movie theaters next Christmas, because I could not stop thinking, oh my gosh, this could be the best movie ever. This book, we are following a young girl who, I mean, she's not that young. We're following this lady. She's not a lady. You know what I mean? She's like mid-20s. She is back in her hometown, helping her aunt recover from surgery, her and her sister. During that time, the aunt tells the girl that she needs to be a part of this kind of competition that goes on in the town, where who has the most holiday spirit. And one of the guys who is in this as well, they used to be really cool as kids, and something happens where they don't speak for years and they just butt heads in like the nicest way. I'm like cheesing because I love their dynamic. It was so like friendly to enemies to friendly, like it was funny. It was so funny. It was so cute. It was spicy. It was just like all of the above. I was thinking about this book after I read it. I read it at the beginning of December. I can't stop thinking about it till this day. I'm just like, they so cute. Like, I want to do a Christmas competition now. I'm not meeting nobody, but like, it sounds fun. Like, who has the most holiday spirit? Those were on my top 10 books of this year. When I say it was so hard, you guys, it was so hard. I could not decide, but clearly I just did. If I had to do a top 24, just let me know if you want to see a part 2 of like my other top books, because on my iPad I made a little section of my top books of 2024, and these were the pages. I couldn't decide. Guys, this was like, how many is this? 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 35, 40, 45, 50, 55, 56 books. 56 books out of 143 books that just were wow to me. I'll show you guys some honorable mentions that, you know, they were right there. Flicker in the Dark by Stacey Willingham. Baby, that was such a good book. Birthday Girl, Penelope Douglas. Yes! The Boys of Totem series. Bro, I'm gonna have to do a video on that, because this book, they're YA, but bro, they're not YA. We have Look Closer by David Ellis. Woo, that was good. Pen Pal by JT Geisinger. Oh, I should have added that onto my list. Oh my god, that was good. If you like the movies The Others, you know what I'm talking about, with Nicole Kidman, and like mixed that with a little bit of like romance, like you get this book. Curvy Girl Summer. Oh my gosh, that one was good. Oh, that was so good. The Wedding People. The Wedding People was so good. Oh my god, I forgot. The Serpents and Wings of the Night. Bro, that book, dang, it was so hard to pick. So hard. Oh, Magnolia Parks, Into the Dark. That one, honestly, this book, it was so emotional. Like, it could have definitely been top 10. I cried so much in this book. Like, that one, it's different. So those were all the books and a little bit of honorable mentions. Let me know in the comment section below if you read any of these books and what stood out to you this year. I feel like this year was such a good year of books. Yeah, I hope to see you guys in my next one.